Hi there. Today we're making Elisse Duchaard. I've currently chopped off all the flesh. Now I've just got to carve away all this excess. You can use a mould line remover tool from Games Workshop, or others are available if you really want. I use one of these, which in America you might know of as an X-Acto knife. It's important to go around and make sure you find all the nice little bits of flesh that Games Workshop leave for you. Now, the end of her cloak is a particular problem. You'll see a little nub has gone off there. That's because when I was clipping it, there was a really big bit. You can see the remains of it here. And it just takes it. Now, my local store owner, who also is a bit of a Britannia fan, did warn me, and I did do it incredibly carefully, but still the end of the cloak came off. So there's a big design issue with this particular model. But hey ho, we shall see what we can do. What I'll probably do is model it up, and it really depends what the detail is. I think that's just like a little border there, so I think I can probably get away with green stuff in it. But yeah, I shall get this scraped up and come back in a sec. So I have one of these things to just I'm not going to do it for very long, just to tidy up my workspace so that there's not little bits of flash everywhere. I've noticed as well that the end of this arm cloak thing has come off, but anyway, some of this flash is horrendous. It's not a very well made model from a sort of construction perspective. Anyway, one thing I want to show you is I use this glue, this gel glue, and I have got some liquid glue somewhere. I prefer the gel glue for models like this because invariably they don't fit very well. So anyway, this piece goes in here and you'll see exactly what I mean more or less straight away. The fit is terrible. So these two need to line up and the rest of it needs to just kind of jam in against itself. Now I can see there's a big gap at the end, so what I'm going to do, and this is where I quite like the gel, is you can really load up the end and then get thinner towards the middle, like that, towards the end where they are flush and they need to be. And then what you do is just simply push that together and it does come out like that. So you can just scoop that up and with your finger, and no green stuff is now necessary. Now there will be some fingerprints on it, but we can always tidy that up later. There's a little bit of glue in there as well. So I'm just going to get that out of that. Right, that's nice. So that's all nicely done. Anyway, I'm going to glue up the rest and get back to you in a minute. Something which you shouldn't be afraid to do when putting these models together is using other models to sort of allow this to perch on. We've got two really weak contact points at the base here, so I'm just using this Chaos Warrior to sort of hold up the unicorn whilst the super glue is drying. Chivalry is not dead. So now she's assembled and undercoated, it's time to start blocking out the colours. Actually, I'll show you some artwork now, a few images that I thought might inspire me. Some's created with ChatGPT and that kind of thing, and some's created by actual humans.
I'm not sure whether this section will work or not, however, these are, I'm trying to record a PowerPoint thing as a video anyway. So these are a few of my sort of style notes for Elisse. So this is how GW have painted her. As you can see, there's kind of pink roses. It's very, very gold chalice, very, very bright, vibrant, you know, light coloured scheme. Some interesting unicorn eyes there. this is how she's kind of depicted in the art. I really like this new Bretonian aesthetic. It could do with having the metal like being a bit shinier. I like that really high gloss kind of 80s dark fantasy metal shine. Like this is my these are one of my Chaos Knights. I don't know if I can get it to focus for you, but that kind of, I really like that kind of dark, gritty, but also clean and not clean sort of look. So that's interestingly though, in the pictures, like she seems to be pictured without irises. She seems to just have like bright white eyes. I don't quite know how I'm going to do that. This is actually some AI art that I asked it to do. So this was like a bit of AI art on the left, which is of a dark enchantress, and I really like that kind of dark sort of gothic look. I really like the makeup. I think that's something I'm probably going to incorporate somehow. I really quite like the white hair, but I think it would just be a bit too much with everything being white. On the right here, I asked AI to draw me like a sort of slightly dirty, as you can see it's definitely AI, because look at this look at this leg here, it's a bit derpy, but and that eye and the proportions are all wrong, but actually, and I think she's got like 8 toes, but like this is the aesthetic that I'm thinking of, that kind of legend style labyrinth, that kind of 80s, but not that. I don't. This is getting quite close, but she's a bit too. It's a bit too promiscuous for like a highborn enchantress. This I found was an Adobe stock image. I found, and I really want to do this with like the mane somehow, like this kind of really vibrant, high resolution, high color sort of. The colors are interesting as well, because there's no like reds or like traditional blues. It's all kind of almost like different types of fiery sort of color. So I really like that. I don't quite know how I'm going to incorporate it. And I like the slightly blue tone to the body of the unicorn, which does actually contrast quite nicely with this kind of pure white horn. So I quite like that aesthetic. This was another one that I found. I think it was somebody on DeviantArt. I just really like this kind of. It kind of, I don't know. It's that this is the spirit, I suppose. This is the spirit of what I want my piece to look like. So you know, you do have. Oh, I can't go previous. That's a bit annoying. How weird. You do have like a kind of aesthetic of a model, but you do want to kind of maintain the spirit somehow. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. This is actually a color palette, a colorway basically of all the colors that were available during the medieval period. So this is essentially what color. So this is going to be my palette for materials basically. Can I get colors? And as you can see, that there is no black, so they wouldn't have had black. They would have had this really dark blue, which I think Cantor blue is a bit too bright for actually. So what I'm going to do, but it's the right hue actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Cantor blue and then just put some black ink over it, over and over again, and just to like use the Cantor blue as like the final highlight. So shade it and then so like put the Cantor blue on and then just shade it back with black and then highlight again with the little bits that I want to be black. I'll show you in a minute when I've got it.
So the first step really I thought was to do a fairly heavy white dry brush, just to sort of try and pick out the details and just so I could see what's going on. And then I'll start to block in some colours now, I think, and get some sort of base coats down. So I've got the base colours down. I've used Zandri Dust on the gown. I've used Caliban Green here. I've used Cantor Blue on the edges. Like I said, I'm going to dial that right down. I haven't done the little bit around the neck yet. Oh, that's a bit quick. I haven't done a little bit around the neck yet because there's a lot of flesh around there. So what I want to do is basically focus on the flesh, which is the most recessed bit, and get all the skin tones done now, because I like sort of oil paints, so I like kind of starting with black and then building up, and I think it works really well with 3D stuff because you can start here and then just gradually build up over time. I've used Retributor Armour on the gold because I think it's one of the best golds that exist, really, and then I've used Bugman's Glow on the flesh. This is my tactic for flesh. I've got Cadian flesh tone, I've got Kislev flesh, and I've got Pallid Witch flesh to make her really super pale at the end. So yeah, I'm gonna focus on the flesh, and I don't quite know what colour to do her hair yet, but we'll see. So now I've done her flesh. That didn't take very long at all. I've just painted her like really kind of as light as possible. The feet were the most difficult bit really, but I didn't actually use Pallid Witch flesh. I mixed it with Kislev flesh, like 50-50 and then 60-33 for like a final 2 highlights, so it kind of looks a bit like blending, but it isn't. But yeah, I hope that looks cool. So now I've I made a quick sort of highlight because I still had some of this mix left, so I mixed this Warpstone Glow with it just to give me a bit of a highlight for the green. I wanted it a bit more muted. And then I did about 50-50 these two to shade the blue, so I hope you think that looks a lot darker now. So now I need to highlight again with just Cantor Blue, and then I added a bit of Seraphim Sepia in some bits of the robes just to add a few shadows that obviously need to dry. I don't like ink the whole thing, but just in the recesses just to give it a bit of definition. And then I did put some Celia green shade on the cloak, which is why it's slightly shiny still, but yeah, it doesn't seem to have done much, so yeah, whatever. So I've used a lot of colours now to do like the mane and the sort of the horse's hairs. I'm reasonably happy with this. I need to spend a lot more time just adding a lot more layer and depth and stuff into the sort of the various colours, but I think that's turning out alright. It's certainly more interesting than if I'd have painted the hair like some other colour, but like I think that kind of fits, and it does look a bit weird because I'm going for like a high fantasy kind of gritty sort of look, and I'm not sure that it kind of fits in with that, but I'll keep hacking away at it. I think maybe just putting some brown ink over it might make it look interesting. I'll try that on a small sample and then get back. So it seems the answer was a watered down Doomfire Magenta. I just sort of watered it down 50-50 and applied that over the whole lot, and it's kind of made it really vibrant and colourful, and you've got that kind of fire burst of all the different colours in there as well. And I basically just did my highlighting by basically just stroking the raised bits where I think more light would fall to make it a bit sort of lighter, just to take off the paint, but I'm pretty happy with that. So what's next is basically do the staff and her hair. I've got an interesting recipe for blonde hair, so see you in a bit. So this is, oh sorry, I forgot to put the light on. This is my blonde hair recipe. It looks okay, to be fair. I think I probably need to do a bit more low light and highlight in the middle of the hair if I was going to take it a bit up a notch really. But basically we start off with Gawthorpe Brown. You then do a rough sort of wet blendy sort of highlight quickly into that. But leaving the Gawthorpe Brown, like you can see, like underneath there, basically underneath, there's a little spot down there that I've not painted as well, just to keep it really dark in the recesses. Then this to kind of colour it up, and then Dawn Yellow and Pallid Witch Flesh is like the final, like about 50-50 is like a final mix, and then some no, actually, I did a 50-50 mix of Agrax Earthshade and Reichland Flesh Shade. I've still got the gloss, so it means the hair is quite nice and shiny, to be honest, which is exactly what I wanted. But I didn't want it to be too gloss. So all I've got to do now really is the net and finish off the gold. Oh, and I filled the cup with Ethermatic blue just to see how that would dry really. So it looks quite interesting at the moment. I hope it dries exactly like that, but I know it won't. Anyway, see you soon. So what we're doing now, staff, gold, netting, oh, and then base. Hate painting bases. So I've done a stick. I used dried bark and taillight ochre and just mixed them on my sort of palette, as it were, and just sort of did it on the model. These two I did 50-50 for the rune at the end and the head of the staff, and then I just applied a sort of simple Drakenhof nightshade just to kind of tone it down a little bit. But yeah, so it's just the gold and the base and the eyes now. So, and without doing the base, I think I'm pretty much there. I've done her face. I've done the. Probably need to top up that cup a bit, but there's a lot more time I could spend on it, just tidying it up. And like I've just spotted, I've got a little splash on the top of that pink rose there. So there's a lot of tidying up to do basically. But this is like a first final draft, as it were. So I've got all the colours and I've got some highlights and stuff. And let's see if you can see her makeup. There you go. I've done a bit of eyeliner and a bit of lipstick and a bit of eyeshadow and some eyebrows. So yeah, she's looking pretty good to go. I can't do her pupils because I don't believe that my brush is actually fine enough to actually do pupils. So I'm going to pretend that her eyes have gone white because she's casting a spell. Oh, the horse's eyes, by the way, I've made a kind of black and silver mixture out of Black Templar and Stormhost Silver to kind of drop into the eyes, so they kind of look dark but also light at the same time. It's a bit weird. But yeah, I noticed actually that she's got a little cloak, a little night undergarment sort of thing that's poking out the end of her arms, which should be worn underneath this robe, which would be incredibly heavy wool. So I made that red because we haven't got any red coloured garments. We've got blue and green, so a bit of red as well. Can't remember what I used the white scarf for. And that we used to do the silver to the gold. That was the eyeshadow colour, and Mornfang brown is this sort of netting webbing on top of the coronet thing. I forget what you call that sort of webbing thing, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It's really just the base and the hooves as well. I'm not quite sure what to do with the hooves, but I've got some ideas. So here we have the not tidied up but more or less finished Elisse Duchaard. If I was going to tidy it, well, there's a lot of little mistakes that I've made that I just need fixing. And the cloak, I want to add a bit more depth on that because that looks a bit derpy. But other than, maybe go back to the tail a little bit and sort of fix that. But so this video doesn't get ridiculously long for one model. I think I'm just about to call it here, to be honest. She's pretty good. She won't win any competitions, but hopefully this gives you some ideas on how to sort of research and make real something that you've kind of got in your head. So yeah, just to finish off, basically I used Storm Vermin Fur and Baneblade Brown in various mixes to sort of paint the stone and the ground and the base and stuff. Then a bit of Typhus Corrosion to add a bit of mud, and then I got this stuff, Base Ready Moorlands from Geek Gaming Scenics. I quite like their basing glue as well because it dries. It says fast drying. It's fast drying PVA, right? And it's got something else in it that makes it really super sticky. So it's not quite PVA, but it's basically fast drying PVA. So it works quite well. And that's what that looks like. This kind of moorland base. It's a pretty good mix. And then finally, I've got again Geek Gaming Scenics. I've got some tufts from them, dead, because I wanted something that's a bit sort of moorland looking. So these come like this, and you just like peel them off, and like the here where the gaps are and stick them on, and you get these lovely little tufts. So yeah, that's Elisse Duchaard. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and make a comment if there's a model you'd like me to have a crack at next.